are approaching the halfway point here in day one. But what's even crazier to consider still, sure, it's match 3, but tomorrow 6 more games to work with and a 1.5 times point multiplier.
Yeah, that's right, and that's where teams start to hit the drawing board. I mean, Vino has expressed this before to us in his interviews. Day 2 is always the hardest, especially for players like him that focus so heavily into that day 1 prep. So this foundation that has to get built here and now is extremely important. Let's jump on the battle bus one more time.
And just like that, match number 3 is upon us. The battle bus is departing one more time here today. And I think also, MDF, one thing we're really going to get a chance to see is how the micro adjustments continue to unfold, because at this
is
stage,
crazy. I can't
really
believe I can actually just watch
for the
this.
best recipe for success heading into day 2. But this halfway mark could really be the telling tale.
Yeah, and we're kind of jumping back to match 1 vibes right here. Cal Gamer, Haman versus CZB and Nathan. They won the first fight, kind of fizzled out the second. This one now is all up to Cal right here. Cal finds the first tag and no duo insight yet. Kind of runs off to a safe spot. Very smart position to put him in. Meanwhile, Nathan has more time to go ahead and start healing up, but no material. We all know Fortnite's a game of builds and attrition, and if you have the mats, you usually have the fight in the bag. Cal Gamer comes on top for the Middle East.
That is a big clutch opportunity there for Cal Gamer, because him and Aman definitely need to start rebuilding a little bit more in terms of that leaderboard. But again, they're not the only ones with that vision in mind. Merstash, Malibuka, Restored Reels one more time. Oshi, Worthy, and Alex. I love seeing them lurk in the horizon, but the way that they've chosen to split that POI is pretty interesting.
I want to see more Worthy perspective in Alex there, but we have to see what's happening here between Oshi and Middle East here. This is a really big fight for FKS and Adapter, whom are winning at the moment. Tinka goes down, Daneth is down as well, and FKS and Adapter collapse from both angles so perfectly. Look at it from Adapter's perspective, just catches him in the nest there, in the danger web, and it is over before they can even put down a build.
Have to love that supportive fire coming in as well. Perfect timing. Phaser and King, though, slight world of hurt here. Phaser trying to do what he can, but at the same time, we'll have to just check back in with him, see how he manages as a solo for the time being, because we've got action heating up here at Restored Reels. So many medkits getting tossed out, but Merstash and Malibuka manage to take this one over yet again. 2 eliminations in the bag, plenty of heals to work with as well, so they'll be able to recuperate nicely.
Take a look from Merstash's perspective there. He lands a great tag onto Worthy so fast. Then Malibuka finishes off Alex, who's a little weak there. Almost finishes Malibuka even with the HP disadvantage, proving that he definitely had the better shot, but just gonna come up short there. Meanwhile, Threats and Trashy have gone up against Peterbot and Boy, and you can see the results of that. Not very good for Trashy at the moment, but Man City Threats, if it's one thing that we know, is that he's a veteran of North America. He's gonna stick around and try to put down some numbers here.
Know a lot of players, definitely big fans of that thermal scope as well, but it's gonna take more than 1 or 2 nice shots for Threats to work his way out of this position. Keep in mind, he's still possibly gonna get sandwiched here if he's not careful. Peterbot Pollo still close enough that they could continue to play spoiler there for Threats. The Yapko and Swizzy also on the wraparound here. They're gonna choose to just try and work their way through Charon's Crossing. Not really interested in sticking around.
Garrison Shari, center zone right now, chasing down Phaser. Phaser gets inside the tunnel. We've seen some very fun plays go down here, but this dynamic not too exciting. And I mean, it's just simple math, right? There's only so many places you could be. Heroes takes down Shari. They already took down King, and that's going to be quick wraps for that duo. Meanwhile, on the other side, Queasy and Thomas HD right now, very much situated, coming off of the Victory Royale. No one, just like no one in sight either, right? Very, very comfortable as far as the spacing is concerned right now.
Hey, we already heard what the comm sounded like for Queasy and Thomas and what their intention is as far as the matches here today. Just get height, don't get eliminated. It's as simple as that, or at least it sounds like it on paper, but taking height in the first place is the real challenge.
It's so easy, right? Just do it, basically, is what Queasy's trying to say here. Keep the mentality locked in, and they do just that. And honestly, I think the more important insight, how much he depends and relies on Thomas HD, knowing that, hey, Surge, we got it covered. I have one of the best duelists, right? Like in the game right here, in the world. Thomas HD, no stranger to hitting those shots when they matter. Meanwhile, Flixie and Vico, they have to make up for that shortcoming in game number 2, falling in the mid game.
Yeah, and it's all gonna pop off here yet again by the Forecast Tower. One that's situated in between Reckless Railways, Mount Olympus, and realistically, Bryce Bolts, you have to keep in mind, Ifana's in their backyard, and that's exactly what they're after. They find Job and Michael trying to just sneak around the low ground, but it's not gonna work this time as Bolts and Bryce find their first elimination. That's a nice amount of surge damage as well, so they can afford now to stay engaged in this fight for the Forecast Tower in comparison to maybe Vico, Flixie, depending on what their surge tags might look like.
Yeah, and you know, Job and Michael had that strategy. They were to come in with this surprise contest, and it just seems like things are a little difficult for them. But Swizzy and Jocko, right, talking about coming over insurmountable difficulties just to make it this far. Swizzy finding his footing here. He's gonna take down Ping and Walks. Just one of the two for now, but still, elimination starting to fall their way. These are critical points now for the tournament standings. On the other side, Clix and Vino make it out of the drop. And now they're on their way to the north side of the zone here. Still cold, so dangerous on the outskirts here.
Cold making sure to just use the natural terrain, keep himself as concealed as possible. But again, Clix and Vino are more than aware of just how much attention the Forecast Tower is bound to draw towards them and their initial rotates, but it seems as if Veno and Clix were a little bit more fixated on trying to deal with Shari, Kiras, but now having to look back because of the tags that came into play from Fold and Acorn, and Sherry probably a little bit happy about having some of that pressure alleviated temporarily.
I saw Vino saying, wait, is that a solo rotating back here? So he's a little bit more keen now to rotate towards that duo. Nice find on the Cactus here. This map awareness from Clix and Vino, given that this is their natural terrain, is flexing right now. But Geras and Shari, they let off the pedal a little bit, and all of a sudden now they're perched up above them. Flixie and Vico here do not want to give this one up here, though. They have chased Michael into the storm, who Michael just wants to save his teammate Job, but no. He's pushed the wrong way. First through Bryce and Bolts, now through Vico and Flixie, and just like that, it's over. One
of the beauties of LAN, I wish you guys could have witnessed it. Vico's mom getting a chance to see him in action, just shouting the moment that they find those eliminations. Love to see that kind of cheer forward. As Reet and Ritual, they're gonna depend on each other here, trying to power through the likes of Toyota and Mipoli, but Ritual, he's lost his shields entirely, has more than enough to recover though, but what he needs is for Reet to continue to buy him time. So much pressure. Both Mipoli and Toyota choosing to take the same angle, at least for right now, but that could provide the wiggle room opportunity here for Reet and Ritual to get a wraparound effect.
Really get to lock in right now. Asia has had quite the appearance so far. I'm looking at the standings on the side, but things are starting to get updated here. I'm seeing teams fall, players and teams get eliminated as things continue to develop here. And talking about Asian teams in the distance, you have Zagu up close, you have Bobby getting closer and closer. So it's almost like Re and Ritual are just getting surrounded by this entire region here.
And it's not just Asia either. If I'm not mistaken, it looked like Booga and Aviv are also kind of moseying their way over towards this action taking place by the weapon bunker. But Reet shredding through Mipoli's shield. Not enough to crack him just yet, but still forcing him back. It's clear that Reet and Ritual just want box control, take over the space overlying that bunker so they can make sure that they defend it with their own builds.
Oh, Kyoto and Mipoli trying to situate themselves for the first stab at the bunker. Bobby And Larpex trying to do the same there as they lurk nearby. On the other side, though, high ground here for center zone, looking for any teams off in the distance. Chicho and Trulix, the surprise pop-up in that end game last round, really showing up for themselves there. Team Falcon and Valiant,
If he hits
proud of that one.
If he hits someone from right there, man.
Ooh.
Okay, Chicho, we understand. The Monarch pistol, clearly one of your preferences for a reason, but still, I don't expect Chicho and Trulix to leave this position anytime soon. This is their bread and butter. Surge base up, take control of teams that are going to be forcibly rotating from those outskirt positions on their drops, and just funnel, control the way that they're actually moving on the map.
Oh, look at this. Unfortunately, second place Rise and Yuma now down and out. Once again, opening things up for a second there, but so far, that Asian team has put up quite the performance, right? Representing for their region. That's really the best part about this. We play all year to get the best players from every region globally together in one space to compete against each other. What a flagship event here, but on the other side, Vico and Flixie continuing the story here. They have the bunker now.
Probably rather content as well, knowing that they could take their time, but there is another team starting to approach their position, but it might just be a duo that's gliding overhead. Doesn't seem like they're gonna bother stopping or recognizing the fact even that there's a duo still lingering inside of this weapons bunker. Chapentini, on the other hand, dealing with the likes of Baka and Pars, outskirts of restored reels, and this could be a rather dangerous position because keep in mind, Trulix, Chicho, they've got a surge base nearby as well. They could look for prime third-party opportunities, get some good tags in here.
Chapentini now on the run here from Baka and Pars. Smart disengage given that low ground terrain is going to be a lot more difficult to play from. Baka and Pars, honestly not in such a strong position themselves. 28 builds is nothing for a player like Baka, especially in this type of lobby. He really has to start to, piecemeal something together, or their end game is it's gonna crumble. It's gonna crumble.
Part of the problem for Baka and Pars, though, is that landing by the ship at station, their intent is to try and make a play for one of the forecast towers. We've seen them throughout the majors in the regular seasons, right? And they've tried to consistently make plays for forecast, but they've got to deal with the likes of Peterbot, Poyo, who are also making rotates, and it can be difficult for Baka and Pars as well to just maintain their map position because they have so many teams kind of surrounding them, looking to cut them off at every position.
Although it's only game 3, I do want to hit the VODs and see what's going on with Batman, Booga, and Rapid there, as they haven't quite really popped off up to the expectations. But hold up, Rift Island now officially secured by Baka and Pars. This is honestly a very, very good pickup here if they, of course, can get the loot, but an elimination would be even better. Teeny gets hurt in the process here. Chap secures the high position here in defense for his teammate. Singles out Baka. Baka down to just wood builds. They need to get some of the outskirts here. And already Chapentini secure the center of course, what will be the cache, right? All the loot that's gonna go ahead and spawn out of that.
The capture point could be a really big advantage here for Chapentini as well. Baka Pars recognize more than anything else, they need to try and rebuild their material count. Granted, Rift Island can definitely provide, at the very least, ample amounts of bricks, but that's only if they're not disturbed in the process. And it seemed as if there are a couple more duos trying to make their way toward top of the Rift Island. Veil Clicks also still hanging out inside of the storm. Comes as no surprise, though, really, when you consider the fact they like to stick in the storm a little bit longer than some of these other teams. They're usually pretty consistent about getting those surge type damages, but they can also be very dependent on the vending machine to accrue the heals to make sure that they can afford this time inside Storm.
Vending machine makes a massive difference. Bunkers make a massive difference as well as far as having the heals to string together a strategy like this. Cammy and Seti clearly have a stronghold on their area. They're playing deep into the storm, and this is, again, a team that is no stranger to staying in the storm on these invitationals, on these LAN events, right? Like we've seen it happen every single time. They almost welcome the Storm, right? To stay away from the other opponents there.
Cammy and Seti, they were probably cheesing the moment that they found out the hover jets wouldn't be an option for players, because everyone knows, historically speaking, they perform incredibly well, if not possibly even best, during these no mobility or low mobility metas. So comes as no surprise, really, they were able to find their surge damage, a little bit to work with at least, dead-side rotations, but Malabuka Merstash, jam-packed action potentially here at Restored Reels. Finding some decent shots, but more important aspect still is that Casper and Prism are under some heavy pressure. Those Storm Surge tags trickling in now might cost them all their splashes.
82 below. Pressure starting to rise here. Giannis gets pushed in, drops down to low ground. Just letting the Storm Surge kind of do its thing here for now. But Casper doesn't stop. He eggs on solo here into the wall of Pixie and Giannis. We've seen what happened to duos before. It normally doesn't end well. Malabuka and Merstash also lurking nearby, hearing what's happening here.
And again, you can technically out-sustain the damage that's dealt, but 25 a tick, not to mention the other teams taking notes, shooting at you as well. Shield crack has gone out. That might be the go sign here for Giannis and Pixie. They recognize the fact, though, this duo looking a little bit too desperate for him. Merstash, Malabuka instead gonna strike from behind. Casper, Prism, they were so fixated on Giannis and Pixie, they had no idea the real threat that awaited directly behind them.
Yeah, now Merstash and Malabuka have nothing to worry about. They have so much damage. The refresh is there. They're going to be fully focused in on likely getting to the new line of the Storm here shortly. And they saw, like, you know, this team was fighting another team, so clearly they're very much aware. But wait a second, Pixie knocks on the wrong door. This is a full duo. Little did he know, he was likely thinking this was what was left of the other team that was just there. And Giannis falls for being out of position now. Merstash and Malabuka really racking up the eliminations this game.
Devious work there by Merstash and Malabuka, though. The way that they were able to separate Giannis and Pixie in that moment. Keep in mind, Pixie definitely still trying to do what he can, but yeah, that is just some very tactical play coming out of Malabuka and Merstash. Their chemistry definitely aligned. Pixie still trying to do what he can, but Malabuka and Merstash, they know it's a solo hidden somewhere amongst the rubble of these pre-existing builds. Pixie trying to hope that he can maintain a little bit better position, but he's just getting shredded. The builds are not going to withstand all the shots coming in. Malabuka Merstash with yet another elimination. 807 damage above as well. They can take their sweet time now on the rotates.
And you see it from Merstash's perspective onto Casper. Say huge shot there in the replay. Very well executed. Well, that's going to set themselves up for success. They have nothing to worry about other than get to Storm now. For Vino and Clix, a little bit of a different story here. Still a successful game nonetheless. 2 elims, plenty of material to work with, especially in Clix's reservoir here. However, the damage will start to become a problem soon. But talk about problems here. Kanata's got a big one. He's got XX Trashy on the other side of the wall. And no teammate, Cooper, who is the returning champion from last year, paired up with Kanata right now, is now found himself watching Kanata having to root from the sidelines.
Yeah, I mean, the Ship It station has just been fully skeletonized at this point. All the walls practically torn down. Other player builds replacing them, but Kanata has done a decent job, at least at forcing Trashy back. And in fact, Trashy so low, Kanata not going to be able to get the outright elimination just yet, but he's hunting it down. Trashy just hoping that he can buy himself a little bit more time, and Kanata's got to be careful, because Queasy and Thomas, they're also nearby.
We already know Queasy and Thomas have the confidence coming off that last game. Big rotate coming out on the other side, though. It's Agers and Rise who are on the move right now. Rise going to be the first to fall in this exchange here to the hands of Bolts, it seems. Bolts and Bryce to get the elimination credit here. And Bolts and Bryce are holding on just barely. And Bryce willing to stay in the storm. He needs these materials, trying to pick up what he can here to go and get himself a foundation to work with. And this is a congested side of the Storm. Look at how many teams, how many players are sitting around this general area.
This is a lot of our northeast-based teams as well. And Bryce, at least with that refresh on the material count, he's going to be able to at least dictate which direction he wants to head next. Might be able to protect himself on the disengage as well. Agers, though, might not find himself in a similar fashion. Still, the armored wall will at least prompt a forcible disengage for the time being. Everyone recognizing the fact they've got to scale over this hillside as they approach the raft.
Well, time to make a decision. Agers goes for the fight. And now he's in the storm, but a tag is going to set him off here. The clock is ticking here. Just a couple moments left, and he jumps onto Muzz and Epic Whale. Tries to go for the axe through the wall, but instead delivers the loot to the hands of Muzz and Epic Whale, who really needed that, but the storm ends up doing the rest there on this back edge. And it's just one problem after another now since match one for Epic Whale and Muzz here. It's going to be difficult to ask Epic to do much more at this point, given the situation.
Epic just hoping that he can survive, but that dream is shut down instantaneously. Just domed from a distance, and not much left to do except sit and wait for match number 4 to begin. Trulex, on the other hand, though, no Chicho again. Some of our teams that are just trying to lead, unfortunately finding themselves in these compromised positions. If Trulex goes down now, MDF, that's going to be a heavy hit to placement points.
Yeah, definitely will set them back, given that they set themselves up with such a strong position now after that first game. Obviously coming in with a little bit of a lead, but how long can that lead last when you have people like Peterbot and Boyo putting sights on you? And looking at that update there, Cold and Acorn are down. Yuma and Rise are also down. This match 3, almost a defining moment for some teams here that had a real chance to break away, but as all things balance here, it's almost like we're brought down to reality. So Trulex, really the only player now in the lobby that has a 30-point gap, but for how much longer?
He's just trying to stay as concealed as possible and hopefully connect.
An elimination, really?
Yet again, Dukes now forced to play this one out as a solo. His box gonna get collapsed upon. Pico, though, loses Quixie. Another one of our teams in the top 5 wiped out.
That is actually going to be very, very important for everyone who's on the bubble now, looking to jump up into that top 5 spot. And even better for the likes of Peterbot and Boyo, who are very much there. Thomas, HD, and Queasy, who have been running their way up the standings here. Look at this late rotate, allowing them to have this much visual. Not even needing to build walls on the side is a sign of confidence on its own.
Look at this Thomas now. He was just taking shots at the lobby leader. He's still got his sights set onto Trulex. Might have even identified him as a solo, but they're going to find themselves chopped. Malabuka, Merstash now trying to make their approach towards Queasy and Thomas. Meanwhile, Peterbot, Boyo, they're currently sitting inside of top 3, 3rd place to be specific, and they're going to instantaneously take over the hill. Prime position, also catching shots, tags, connecting onto Queasy, but the hill height is the real W here.
Well, I hate to call it early, but it is not looking good for the lobby if you're rooting against Peterbot and Boyo right now, as they've got themselves the natural elevation, the material count, and the base already set up. Meanwhile, Queasy finds himself in a bad rotate there, taken down. No elims earned this game. No chance that Thomas can survive there if he doesn't fight his way up. He doesn't even have mats here, the shield bubble, the saving grace, but also the flare to the lobby. Hey, I'm over here.
There's only so much that Thomas can do from this current position. And first, he's got to break through Yapko and Swizzy, throws out the shield bubble. It's his last hope at this point, hoping that there isn't a duo underneath him, but unfortunately, he won't even get a chance to reconsider where he wants to go next. Peterbot and Boyo more than content to take the shutdown.
And they're the team up top, looking down on the rest of the lobby here. Other NA players still here, Re and Ritual. But you have EU's Huddy on the front side with Kovacs there. Peterbot looking down, putting tags onto the roofs of these builds. Huddy and Kovacs have 7 eliminations, but very little material now. It's going to get super scrappy down here. They're in that conversation of top 5 here, though, as they've managed to nearly fight their way into a top position now. But things are slowing down. Everyone really thinking about what the next move's gonna be, what's best for their situation here in the tournament. Murstache, Malabuka look up, they say no. Peterbot and Pollo are still there.
Honey and Kovacs, they're actually going to opt to play from inside Storm. Now they're going to make their move, but they're so late on this rotate. Peterbot and Pollo are bound to catch wind of this. Immediately, the shots rain in. Kovacs trying to scurry around, but he won't escape. There's too much pressure. Peterbot too accurate as well. Another duo life getting flamed here in the mix. Murstache, Malabuka now caught wind of Reed. Unfortunately, front side of zone is not going to be controlled by Reed and Ritual much longer. Malabuka, Murstache here to play.
Yeah, and they did all that for a top 5, right? Look at how slow things have gone here because everyone wants placement points, but the problem is now you're giving Peterbot and Pollo so much more time to decide about how they basically want to win this game here.
Ritual still trying to work his way through. He's crouching, he's breaking the builds, but Peterbot and Pollo MDF, I hate to call it early, but they are looking primed to take over here in match 3. Unless Murstache and Malabuka have something to say about it. Currently contesting Yapko and Swizzy. This could be a massive refresh for builds.
Swizzy and Yapko, 8 elims. What a monstrous game for them here. Top 3, breaking his way through the builds here. He still has a lot of gas in the tank here to work with, but Malabuka and Murstache put up such a strong defense there. A great tag onto Murstache to go in and set things up, but he steps in now. It's time to throw it all down. It's all or nothing. Right hand peek here for Murstache is going to work well. Peterbot and Pollo jump down from the high ground to go ahead and get in the mix. One of those goes to them. Murstache is down. Malabuka's down. 2v2. All they got to do now is find the last shot, and Pollo, hungrier than ever, is going to get one. They just need the second now.
Peterbot, Pollo, they're tracking him down. Swizzy staring just a layer above. Pollo's gonna fall though. This could be massive. Swizzy could actually take it, but Peterbot trying to shut that tree down. Peterbot, oh my God, is all he needs. Swizzy takes it home.
Peterbot and Pollo get taken down to the hands of Swizzy. Phenomenal job there in the end. Just when you thought it was over, just when you thought he didn't have a chance, they clutched it up. They pulled through.
I have to put a little bit more respect onto Swizzy's name here. Keep in mind, he's a powerhouse player coming out of EU, but Adam, close on sight.
Thank you so much. Give it up for your Game 3 winners! Swizzy, wow. That one-on-one. Peterbot there, right at the very end. You managed to start that out perfectly, but walk us through the final stages, how that all went down.
I don't know, like, it was actually not as hard.
Not as hard, not as hard. Peterbot and Pure have been very strong throughout the competition so far, but Yapka, you guys are looking very good too. Walk us through the first 3 games of this competition. How has it felt for you two as a duo? Is everything panning out as you expected?
Yeah, we just adapted very good, I think, and we're just playing our game. I think it's pretty good. I'm pretty confident we can play good.
Obviously, we've got a bit of a halftime break now. What do you guys do behind the scenes? Do you kind of go over tactics, strategy? How do things go now? Or do you just rest and relax for a second?
Yeah, we're just gonna take some break, like relax and think about the next 3 games.
And I'm going to ask you as well, watching that at the end there, you watched Swizzy in that one-on-one. Are you feeding anything through on the comms then, or are you just keeping quiet and just letting him do his thing?
I mean, I'm just calling behind him, you know? I'm just telling him everything. Because I was still alive, so I could see everything on my screen.
Love to see that. One more time, give it up for Swizzy and Yapko, everyone! Thank you very much, guys. Now, obviously, you know that I've got a voice of an angel, okay? No one booked me for the halftime show. I can't believe it. I'm devastated. I don't hold grudges, but I actually blame Zeke. I could have done a repertoire of my Fortnite Festival classics, and I couldn't do it. Zeke, I blame you. It's over to you, buddy.
That's okay, Adam. You can blame me.